Okay, here we have a sink that just arrived at the sink factory. And so the sink is in nice shape. It's a little unusual. Usually these are 14 inches by 12. This one is 16 by 12. It's just nice little wall mount. But we're not, and it has a faucet attached to it. Now we're not interested in this faucet because it's a very inexpensive, very cheap faucet. It's probably an adequate faucet for half a dozen years maybe. But and this sells often for less than $100, these types of things. So how can they do that? How can they sell something like this for so little money? Well, I'm glad you asked. So among one other things, basically the hold down hardware on this case is only one bolt in the middle. Normally there's hold downs comes through here and here on each side. So this is a very, very inexpensive way of doing it. And how this releases is that basically the pop-up rod, the mechanism here goes through that bolt, and you remove the rod, and if you peek inside of here, you can see there's actually a place for a tool to be used. So you actually mount and unmount this faucet through the hole in the middle here. And so now what we're going to do here to find out why they can do it so inexpensively, we found one reason already, but we're going to go ahead and we're going to do an autopsy here. We're going to slowly take this thing apart, one piece at a time. So here we go. Okay, so now we are removing the mounting nut right here, and it's just a screwdriver operating it, and you can see here it comes on down. So certainly it's kind of ingenious. It's how they done this. Okay. Okay, so there we go. Now there's a couple things going on here. Let's see here. Okay, we're gonna lift this up. There it is. So this is what we have. Now this all comes apart. The first thing we gotta do is to remove these supply lines. See, that little hole right there is what feeds you water, but the surprisingly amount of water will flow through this thing. Okay, now we have access to these nuts. See if we can get in there with this wrench right here. Okay, here's a typical modern 4-inch center set faucet. And there's many versions of this in the marketplace. And I just want to take this apart and show you how it's constructed. Before we take the modern faucet apart, I want to show you a Chicago faucet. This is model 802. This is made of solid cast brass, and if you take out the valves here, I'm going to do that for you. There's one valve. There's the other valve. See, this is a cast brass body, and it's basically indestructible. You do need some maintenance from time to time. It is a mechanical item. So a new valve, often in about 20 years or so. And however, this is super heavy duty. Now in comparison, let's look at this other modern faucet. Okay, so here we are. Now, the pop-up rod, of course, comes out. Now a telltale sign is this line right here. You see that on many of these variety of faucets. So first of all, we're going to take the handles off and actually just unscrew them. That's how they're held in place. And we're going to do the other handle on this side. Almost. Well, there it goes. Now, here's the funny part about this modern faucet and how they make things. First of all, this is actually a big shell. This comes off. This is made of what we call die-cast metal. It's an extrusion metal into a mold. Same thing with the handles. These are all die-cast. And then you can see the heart of the faucet is right here. Again, this is die-cast right here. But there's your faucet right there. So there is quite a contrast between this item here and this item here. So this is certainly an adequate faucet. It needs maintenance just like the Chicago, where you have to change out these valves from time to time. However, this type of metal here will just corrode naturally. It just corrodes. And 15 years from now, it's going to be all nasty looking and etc. Versus the Chicago, the cast brass, the chrome-plated cast brass, it's going to look like this. It'll look just like this in 15, 20 years from now. So, and that's one of the reasons that we sell Chicago faucets, is that it's just a superior item, especially to this modern way of making things. Again, we'll reassemble this. Here's the main body, the cast body. It's a shell, basically. You have a minimalist item here that's inside of this shell that gives it make a fancy look. But basically, let's see it snapping in place. It's a very minimalistic look. There it goes. And there it is. You see, basically now you have the faucet. Right there. Of course, you have to put the handles back on. So again, that's Chicago. One cast piece right there. One cast piece except for the two valves that comes out. And here you have this extrusion metal. And just these pieces right here. Okay, so here you have the clothing. There you have the guts. And that's how they're able to make a fairly inexpensive faucet. Probably in the $100+ range. And the Chicago, of course, will be 3 times that much. So this is Ragnar here. I'm signing off. You all have a good afternoon and evening.